still unwell. She's still in bed. She's still on the sofa. She's still coughing and spluttering. She's still not feeling great. How are you guys? How are you all? I love it when I see people say, who was it, Velvet Vicky Waiting, was it, said, hello team. Hello team. There's something nice about team, isn't it? The team. Hi Tim, hi Shelley, hi Ellery, hi Sky, hi Brenda, hi Ashley, Lior, how are you? How are you, Sky? Great photos again. Maybu, Jenny Ward, Nicola Higgins, Joanne Littlewood. So good to have you all here. And I'm sorry that, you know, our dear Nads is still otherwise engaged in the process of COVID and all that malarkey. Hi Jill Willows, Kerry Stone, Lisa K18, Rebecca W, Lewis Craig, Anne 56. How are you, Mark? Exhausted is the word. I mean, obviously I haven't got the throat so much. I had a terrible night's sleep again. I've done the first test which says I'm negative, so that's good. Just need to test again, and then one's free to, I don't know, at least do some line dancing, I hope, and perhaps do archery. The two things desperately wanting to get done as a matter of some urgency, which I am feeling a lot better, thanks Tim. But I feel a bit guilty. I've got survivor's guilt because, of course, Nads she's got the cut glass, ground glass in the throat thing, the really sticky chest. So Natasha Tiramos, that's where she's at. Very, very exhausted, very tired. But yeah, you know, I mean, I'm just desperate to get back on the line dancing circuit, if I'm honest. I mean, you know, I live for it. I live for it. I live and breathe it. It defines me. I remember years and years ago when we were filming in Missouri, and I made a choice comment to someone behind the bar, and we were all line dancing, and I said something a bit stupid about, I don't know, George Bush or something. And we were escorted as a crew, we were escorted from the bar at gunpoint. Yeah, we went from being line dancing chums to the #1 enemy. Pauline Mulvey dancing. Thank you, Cindy Thornley. Nick Jenkins. 3 weeks and still got sinus trouble and bad ear. Yeah, what is it with the bad ears? Has anyone else had the bad ear thing? Has anyone had an itchy ear? Is itchy ear hole, is that part of it? Is itchy, or is glue ear? I never knew these things existed until Nadia told me. Glue ear. Glue ear is where it's kind of like a bit stuck. Itchy ear is quite literally you want to put your finger in an itch, but you can't reach it because it's in your inner brain. Deborah Holdsworth, you had itchy ear. I always have itchy ear, says Nicola. Dorothy Clark, I have an itchy ear too with it. Well, as a symptom of COVID, itchy ear. Yeah, glue ear. Glue ear is the thing. I had glue ear as a child, Nicola Randall. They say not to put anything smaller than your, bigger than your elbow in your ear, don't they? But what about syringing? Julienne, your ear felt blocked. Gabrielle, I'm terrified of the situation of walking around outside knowing that everyone could have COVID in a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it? I mean, it's not for the, you know, I mean, having had it, it's weird thinking, okay, well, what can hit me? I mean, the thing is, as we keep finding it proved, you can get it again and again and again and again and again. So getting it gives you no sort of, I don't know, qualification. I have itchy ears and have had bad sinuses for ages, Martin Smith. You feel like you never reach the itch in your ear, gain a hill. Absolutely. It's almost like you need to get a drill and don't do this at home, kids, but get a drill and drill into your ear hole. Do you remember in medieval times, they used to have those hand drills? They found skulls with holes in the top of your head. And the idea was that it was to release tension and also to release evil spirits. Paula Smithson, tinnitus and itchy ears are very common with COVID. Wow, I was left with tinnitus from COVID 2 years ago. Velvet Vicky Waiting. It's the tiredness that's hitting Nads. It's the chest. It's the cough. And, you know, Nadia rarely sort of has a sort of chesty cough. But I got her, so she's, you know, I've got her sort of sat on the sofa, and she's kind of, I'm going to make sure she has some, what's that sort of mucusy kind of cough medicine that you can get? The one which is the advert with the creature that kind of jumps on you going, "Rah!" Basically a bag of mucus. Elizabeth Gordon, oh dear, send Nadia my love. Angela O'Keefe, I had tinnitus. Dorothy Clark, fatigue's annoying. Ellen, I need a hole in my head. The headache is something else. Kerry Stone, is she better? Not really. She's better than she was yesterday, but she's not better. Bev Berry, I suffer labyrinthitis due to recurring ear infections about 2 years ago. Nadia's dad had that. Is that where you kind of, you almost can't, you almost lose your balance? Is that what it is? Labyrinthitis? It's like you're in a labyrinth, literally. Cavornia. Cavornia, what's Cavornia, Sam JP? Sounds like a wonderful place in Italy, is it? Cavornia? Let's go to, or is that what the ear problem is? I fancy going to Cavornia. Wouldn't it be weird if going to Cavornia? Who remembers that film where they had small people injected into their body? Donald Pleasance was in it, and they swam around in a spaceship. They did a remake called Inner Space, but what was the first film called? Come on, give us the title. Kim Lakides, Nanny Di is so well. She's at home and she's just texting us going, when can I come? When can I come? And we're like, not yet. Oh, it's Cough Medicine, Lisa K18. Does anyone remember what that film was called? Come on. Lots of small people. The something adventure, was it? The something experiment? Honey, not Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it's kind of the same concept. It was like in the 60s. Natasha Tiramos, how many espressos? I've had one, actually. I've tried to reduce it under the duress of not being, what's it called? Dehydrated. Journey to the, that's right, Paulie Mulvey, Journey to the something. The little people in a spaceship that goes in someone's ear. That's it. That's it. Journey to the, what was it? Something weird. The Borrowers. Oh, I love The Borrowers. And you love the idea that little people live behind your floorboards. And then when Nanny Di comes here, there is a little person who lives behind our floorboards. So, guys, on a serious note, Journey to the End of the World? Wasn't that where they drilled a hole into the centre of the world? Or Journey to the End of the World? Did you watch This Is Going to Hurt? It's quite triggering. I've had a forceps delivery. No, but I was just saying to Nads, we should watch that. Centre of the Earth? Yeah, I agree. So, what do you... Are you a cat person or a dog person? You probably know which story I'm heading towards here. Cat or dog? Tell us. The Fantastic Voyage, that's it. Deborah Holdsworth, A. Weaver, well done. The Fantastic Voyage. Dog, both. Joanne Littlewood, cat, both, dog. Oh, lots of boths. Dogs, Inner Space, that was another version of it. Dog, both. God, it's going so fast, I can't read any of your names. Chantal Atkinson, dog, I think. Margaret O'Brien, both. Deborah Holdsworth, cats. Okay, who's seen the footage of Kurt Zouma, the West Ham footballer, kicking his cats or hurting his cats? Has anyone seen the actual footage? I haven't, and I haven't gone searching for it because I don't want to be distressed. But has anyone seen it? Elizabeth Gordon, you have. Dreadful, Julie Allen. Absolutely disgusting, says Joanne Littlewood. Absolutely. Can't even watch it. Rachel Tidy, I'm the same. I just couldn't bring myself to... I trust that it's there. And Claire McNabb, I saw the footage. It was awful. Yeah. Well, the RSPCA have been called in. The cats are safe and sound with the RSPCA. He's been fined, I think, 2 weeks' pay, which is something like £250,000. The money's going to be donated to a cat sanctuary or an animal welfare charity. But there was a bit of upset because, of course, when this story had broken, he was put on the pitch to play, wasn't he, on Tuesday, I think. So he was booed by both sides in the match. But here's an interesting thing. In France, they can still charge him for doing what he did, for, you know, for maltreatment of a pet or an animal. And he could face up to 5 years in prison, even from France. That's right. Macron might have to sit at the opposite end of the longest table when it comes to Putin, but when it comes to animals, the full force of the law can stretch over the English Channel. So that is good, yeah. I mean, so, you know, he's apologised and all that kind of stuff, but it does beg the question. Apologise? What kind of possesses you to think that you could do it in the first place? Do you know what I mean? Kurt Zouma is the footballer's name. RSPCA has removed them after videos of him kicking one of them appeared. Just why? Just why? I mean, why? I mean, I never understood that. I mean, I remember when I was much younger, you'd hear stories of parents who, with bags of kittens, would leave them by motorways and things like that. You'd hear, you know, when you're a child and you'd hear these comments, sort of, you know, you hear the chat, don't you, of adults above you, and you'd be like, did I just hear that correctly? You know, back in the old days, they were disposable, and it's like stray dogs. If you hit a stray dog, it was just like a stray dog. But now every dog is a precious, precious beast, and I think that's the way it should be. Lewis Craig, evil people, cruel and callous. And the person videoing it, oh, right, okay, so he wasn't videoing it himself, someone else was videoing it. That's always the weird bit, isn't it? It's just... Jenny J in India, they set fire to the dogs and laugh about it. Yeah, I mean, different countries have different hierarchies, don't they? Criteria for animal welfare. It's just horrendous to see, and especially because we have them as pets. You just can't... I just don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Apparently his sponsors, Adidas, have dropped him. So, I mean, he's paying the price. He's paying the price of having been filmed kicking a cat. So there you go. I mean, you know, I remember when I was a child finding a kitten in a dustbin and bringing it home, and then you know how those memories just fade, and then I remember it being taken away by someone, but then I sort of think, well, what the bloody hell happened to it? It was his brother filming Lewis Craig. Nice, 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 nice. Well, that's Kurt Zouma, yeah, and no surprises that we're all in agreement on that. It was funny, I saw a comment at some point over the last few days saying, why has this just become a party political broadcast for the Labour Party rather than actually talking about the news? And I had a think about that, and I thought, it's not, because we've been very critical of Keir Starmer and the left and everything else, but when your government is so wrong in what it's doing in so many ways, and so many Conservatives are critical of the government too, it's less a party political broadcast. I think it's more that most people are disenchanted and furious with this government. So I just want to pop that in there, because we've had a few pops at the Labour Party, that's for sure. Now this story I think is really important, because we've been talking a lot on the channel about toxic masculinity. We've done Confessions of a Modern Parent about it. Me and Nadia have talked really emotionally and honestly about the experiences of our own children, you know, with men just leering in public and falling on them and looking at them and just perving, basically. But it looks like the Sexual Offences Act, they're gonna have a clause which says that unwanted dick pics could be punishable with up to 2 years in prison. Think about that. They're actually going to criminalise the sending of dick pics, and I think that's such a brilliantly strong message, because it will make anyone pause and take stock. Now, I do wonder how that works for anyone under 18 or under 16. But I think this is an absolute move in the right direction. It just needs to be enforced when it comes in. And it's being treated with the same level of severity as upskirting, which is, you know, people who take photographs, upskirt, people walking past, things like that. So, you know, I think this is a really good thing. So after 7 months of campaigning, Grazia are claiming sort of the victory. It's been reported that cyber flashing will officially become a crime as part of the Sexual Offences Act. Reports show that up to 48% of women between 18 to 24 have received an explicit or nude photo they didn't ask for in the last year alone, which begs the thought that if it carries on at that level, we're going to have a huge number of men behind bars. So if I have a concern, my concern is it so endemic that that we're going to have, you know, a sort of deluge of possible criminal cases, and yet at the same time it needs to be followed through, it needs to be acted upon. Do I see that Nanny Di is in the room? Where is Nanny Di? Hi Nanny Di, say hello subs. Hello sub, where are you? Where are you? I'm scrolling for you, Nan. Ma, is she in the room? Are you in the room? I can't find you. Ooh, maybe you're right down the bottom. Where are you, Ma? Hi, Nanny Di. Well, I literally can't find you. God, isn't everyone really astute and observant? Oh, there you are. Hello, everyone. Nanny Di here. How are you all? Love you all. Very good, Mum. Sending you love. Big hugs. Big hugs. Got lots of movies to catch up on, Ma. Got to review lots of movies. The prisons would be overrun. They can't even put folk in. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Hi Nanny Di, hope you're well. Lisa K, 18. Ashley Gardner, hi Nanny Di, hope you're behaving yourself. Look at that, what an idiot. There you go. Brenda M, hello my love, bet you miss your boy. Oh, of course she misses her boy. Give them fines and hard community service if no places in prisons, death shelters. Yeah, I think it's a really good move. And I think it's something that, yes, it raises questions as to how it can be implemented. But you know, better that it's there as a sort of as a catch-all for the crime than not there at all. So I think that's good. Self-isolation laws are going to be scrapped a month earlier, guys. So all this stuff of isolating and da-da-da-da, how do you feel about that? Does that make people's blood run cold, or does it make you fearful, or are we pleased about them loosening all the rules, or is there a sort of general fear that as the rules loosen, there's just no going back? Uncomfortable Terry, when is a month early? Well, that's a good question. When is a month earlier? A month earlier than what? They were due to be scrapped. All remaining COVID restrictions could end later this month. Could they end at the end of February? The current restrictions are due to expire on the 24th of March, but he said that he expected the last domestic rules would end earlier as long as the positive trends in the data continue. It's my intention to return on the first day after the half-term recess to present our strategy for living with COVID. So after half-term, we're all going to get a beginning of half-term pep talk. He probably will sing I Will Survive, or something else, oops, upside your head, or something like that. He might do a little jig. I could do a little line dance, and then he'll tell us all that just back to normal, please. Everyone just go back to normal, which of course isn't the case for a vast number of people who are having to isolate generally because of their health. Elaine Potter, still, what rules would you like to carry on beyond the need to self-isolate? Oh, sorry, I just lost you. What rules do you think should carry on? Mask wearing is one of them. Do you think there should still be social distancing in any way, shape or form? Absolutely none of it makes any sense, says Cindy Thornley. Nikki Hughes, nervous. Brenda M, eventually it has to happen. We can't be locked down forever. I agree. Face masks. I personally think face masks on tubes and trains should continue. Personally, I think that just makes everyone feel a bit safe, doesn't it? Jane Williams, I'll still wear my mask. Sam JP, our eldest, has missed every secondary school trip so far and is now in year 9. Would hate for them to miss out on trips planned for July. I think it's all going to be all right this summer, don't you? Social distancing in enclosed spaces, says Kate Finds a Pen. I think that's quite a good idea. I'm curious to know what you do about nightclubs. I mean, I suppose, are we in a situation now where there's just an acceptance that everyone or the vast majority of people are going to get it, which kind of leaves poor people who are, you know, immunosuppressed or for whatever reasons cannot get the vaccine. It's kind of saying to you guys, fend for yourselves, isn't it? Carve your life around the freedoms that are reenacted. Sue Watson, I am feeling a bit better. Thank you very much. Hope they still research long COVID. Good point, Tim Reed. And I hope they don't try to characterise that as something, you know, that try and suggest that it's not a thing. I think, you know, we've been gaslit by so many things with this government. They might now just start to say, no, it's not a thing. It's just a headache. It's not a consequence. It's not a consequence of this really odd, strange disease that makes you feel like you're possessed. Did anyone else feel like you were possessed when you had it? Like quite literally someone or something had crawled beneath your skin and was operating you in a horrible way. Nanny Di, I worry that the government, don't know what they're doing. I will still wear a mask, probably forever. Ha ha, much love, Nanny Di. Fair dues. You wear a mask all the time, Mum. Sky Lise, I've become so attached to my mask, I won't take it off unless completely necessary. I think for shy people and people with sort of elements of social anxiety like myself, I think a mask is quite nice to hide behind. I also noticed on a cold day, it keeps you warm. Did anyone else get that feeling of being possessed? Did anyone else feel that sort of feeling of being, you know, Nadia describes it, and I felt it, and I think Nadia's friend Lee described it as well. The country pumpkin, I won't be travelling on public transport for sure. I'm unvaxxed and terrified. Will keep masking up every time I leave the house. With you, Nanny Di, but getting strange looks. I talk to myself now because I've been mumbling under my mask, says Rebecca Bruce. I think, was that Rebecca Bruce? Yes. I know what you mean. If you talk, who talks to themselves? Does anyone here talk to themselves? Nadia doesn't think she talks to herself, but she talks to herself all the time. Does anyone here talk to themselves? Haffy B, masks are warm. You're absolutely right. Just finished watching the Cotswolds director's cut. Faith Goodridge, perfectly edited. Mark, I love the quad bike and didn't realise they were so hard to drive. They're really hard to drive. I do all the time, even out loud. Oh my God, do you? You talk out loud? Does anyone talk in their sleep? Does anyone here talk in their sleep? Sometimes I hear Nadia. Did you hear the story that someone got his wife, or a wife got her husband arrested because they admitted to a crime in their sleep? I think they admitted to murdering someone or something. And the partner got so worried they called the police. Am I imagining that? I'm pretty certain I saw that. Nicola Higgins, yes, full conversation in sleep. Yeah, of my girls, Fleur has full conversations. She almost sits up in bed and has to and fro conversations. I'm a big sleep talker, Louise Gervin. Did anyone see that film about Liberace starring Michael Douglas? He'd had so many facelifts, he had to sleep with his eyes open. When he fell asleep, his eyes stayed open, pinned open. There's nothing worse than lying in bed with someone who's got their eyes open, but they're fast asleep. Jill Willows, apparently I laugh in my sleep. That would be really unsettling. Really unsettling. Vicky Edwards, I have night terrors, so my husband has to deal with me being in the sleep state, but in total panic with the light on, seeing spiders. My God, that's tricky. What's that one? Someone just said, my husband does, but he speaks in Turkish, his native country. Wow, that's good. Dangerously, yes, I talk in my sleep, says Angela Thompson. Why dangerously? Because you could say all sorts of things that you shouldn't have done. I don't know, says Ellery Jones, as I live alone. I know I snore. Why not pop your phone on record one night and see what happens? Salsa Trish, watching Tinder Swindler. Oh my God. Okay, we need to ask this question of anyone who's watched Tinder Swindler. We started watching it. That's not me farting, it's the chair, by the way. And we thought that the woman was so naive that it kind of disqualified going further. Should we stick with it? We were with it for the first 15 minutes, and then we thought, oh, she's only interested in fast-flying things. She was drawn to this, she was drawn to that. It's not suggesting anything that happened to her was deserved, but she seemed a bit silly, a bit naive. She seemed a bit naive. Does she stay naive all the way through? Cindy Thornley, my dad used to sleep with his eyes open. Pauline Mulvey, I just snore. Louise Pudney, oh my God, it was amazing. Lady was on this morning, Mark, Salsa Trish. Oh right, okay, very naive, but they turned the tables on him, quite good. Oh, Healthy Mummy Cat says, is it a story of revenge? Maybe she's portraying herself as a bit of an airhead at the beginning. Couldn't get into the Tinder Swindler Me Too, but agree about the naivety. Yeah, it was really bugging me. I mean, in fact, I was willing to stick with it, but Nad was like, I don't buy this, I don't buy this. Yes, it was a great ending, says Melly Mel. Deborah Holdsworth, my husband sometimes talks in his sleep. What's that, Deborah Holdsworth? My husband sometimes talks in his sleep and it sounds backwards. Record it and then play it backwards. And maybe he's saying something in code. Nanny died. You talk to yourself, don't you, Mum? I mean, you talk to yourself when you're here. You chitter-chatter away. Something Nanny Di does is, Dope Sick. We watched the first one of that, Ellery Jones. We liked it. Something Nanny Di does do is she sings to herself. Although you've seen it in the vlog, she sings all the time. It's only me. As a kid, I often slept with my eyes open, wide open, and would just sit bolt upright and shout. I used to terrify people at sleepovers. My God, that's like a vampire sitting up in a coffin. I grind my teeth, says Louise Pudney. Well, Nadia grinds her teeth, snores, and talks in her sleep. In fact, I get more interaction with her at night than I do during the day. We have better conversations at night, actually. She listens. She actually listens at night. It's quite something. What's the other story I wanted to talk to you about? Oh, yeah. So, new photos of Boris with a bottle of champagne. Begs the question, at what point is a photo incriminating? Another MP in the House of Commons said today that there's a photo of him. I mean, it's like literally water off a duck's back, isn't it? I love that phrase, because when you look at water on a duck's back, it literally just bubbles off, doesn't it? It's water off a duck's back. It doesn't matter if there was a photograph of him imbibing 8 gallons of beer and snorting all sorts of illegal substances off a desk. He'd just be like, it wouldn't stick. It wouldn't stick. And Cummings, who is drip feeding the photos, Rebecca Bruce, says there's far more incriminating photos than the one that they're talking about today. Which begs the question, when are they going to come out? When is the police report going to happen? And when is the full Sue Gray report going to land? MeTube, ambushed by champagne. Absolutely right. First he was ambushed by cake, then he was wrestled to the floor by a bottle of champagne. Next thing you're going to hear, he was in a clinch with a barrel of Guinness. I don't know. This is just, he's not bothered, Janine Marie, because he's not bothered, no one else is bothered. I wanted to ask you briefly about, have I popped it in the title? No, I haven't. Dress codes. Who dreads a dress code? This is off the back of a restaurant that's been criticised over its sexy heels and tight clothes dress code for women. A new restaurant has come under fire for its strict dress code, which instructs women to wear sexy black ankle strap heels and tight clothing. And it just made me think about dress codes in general. You know, when you're invited to a party and there's a dress code. I find dress codes really sort of, Fiona Grockett, I'm with you, I find dress codes sort of passive aggressive. Is anyone else? It's like, you know, but it's like, does it matter if someone doesn't go in a dicky bow and suit, you know, tuxedo at one of those sort of, was it black tie event? What's a cocktail dress? I mean, is it a dress you drink a cocktail in? In which case, most of the women I've known in my life would drink a cocktail in a pair of jeans, dungarees, or whatever. Can't wear heels because of my MS and my balance is off. Sorry, I didn't see who said that. Louise Pudney. Very sexist. It is very sexist in terms of the restaurant. Ruth Blandford, I wouldn't bother going there. Smart casual. Smart casual. What does that mean? What does it mean? You know, with trainers that are now more expensive than normal shoes. I mean, it's all gone upside down, isn't it? Sam JP, I don't really like that. Plus a bodycon dress for a meal. Where am I meant to hide the bloat? That's what Nadia says. Really need to get on this with Nads actually, because the pressures on women to wear all sorts of strange contraptions that I hear the slap and the bang of elasticated stuff going on upstairs when Nadia's heading out for the night. And I just ping, bap, slap. Oh. You hear things get fired across the room like by catapult, and you think, and she comes down looking absolutely divine, and she says, you know, you think, well, what agony has gone into this? It's just, it's like the Battle of Hastings up there, and she comes out with an arrow in her eye. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So when they just say cocktail dress, that basically means an absolute disaster. Joyce Pritchard, my daughter is in Antarctica at the moment. She's loving all the penguins and seals in the wild. Is she on a research project? Because I know that in order to get to the proper centre of Antarctica, you've got to have a sanctioned research project of some form. Or is she on a cruise, kind of going around the edges? Very jealous though, seeing penguins and seals. How exciting! So exciting. Pyjamas are the best outfit, Laura S. Oh look, Angela Thompson. No, I feel safe with the dress code at parties. You can dress down when you get there, but you can't dress up. Fair point. It's like being invited to a fancy dress party and being the only person dressed normally. That's an example of it being inverted. I think Maddie went to a fancy dress party where everyone came as a vegetable, and one person didn't, and they felt like a ripe cucumber. Will a tracksuit do? Yeah. Have you seen Chloe? It's good. We haven't yet. Nadia's not felt well enough to commit to a new drama, but we will be checking it out. And the final story, which I've popped in the title, is Friendly Farmers. I want to know about your experiences of farmers. Are they positive or are they negative? I mean, there's a sort of stereotype, isn't there, of the angry farmer. And years ago, we did a show called Countryside at War, and we did a film about the Ramblers of Llanelli, having a huge dispute with a local farmer who'd been there for hundreds of years, you know, his family. And he threatened to shoot them, and we were chasing him with a shotgun, and the Ramblers were running across hills. It was brilliant television, but it was actually quite frightening. Vicky Edwards, they don't bullshit, they say it as it is. You're absolutely right. If you've got a dog running in one of their fields, new rules are suggesting that they do everything in their power not to shoot it. But even the new rules still say under extreme circumstances they can shoot it. So I'm sure every farmer who wants to can say, farmers have such a hard time. I'm pleased you say that, Faith Goodman. You're right. And in fact, when we were filming this film, whilst the farmer did himself a disservice pulling out his shotgun and chasing them, I felt I identified with some of his frustrations because, of course, he was losing cattle, it was disrupting his business and all this kind of stuff. Ellen, my brother and his sons are farmers, only loses his temper once a year, so laid back. Oh, that's good to know. Rebecca Bruce, a lovely farmer, let me camp in his field and use his loo when I got lost in Wales when I was a teenager. This is good. Let's get rid of the caricatures. Kirsty Jane, there's two kind of farmers, nice and bad. By my own area, there's been a farmer in the fields chasing after us. Part of this guide that's being issued, it's a countryside code, is also partly to do with the fact that there's been an increase in the pandemic as more people kind of, you know, staycation and walk around our countryside. There's been an increase in people being killed by cows and what have you. So yeah, they're trying to find a sort of set of rules, but they're wanting to get rid of the style, which the Ramblers are angry about. I mean, this is a very sort of nuanced kind of dispute. The Ramblers want to keep the styles. The countryside code writers want to introduce turnstiles, and the farmers would rather there was nothing for them to go across their land in the first place. I'd have thought turnstiles mean that people who can't step up. I mean, my mum would struggle with a sty, whereas she wouldn't struggle with a turnstile, if you know what I mean. I love a good ramble. I always like the idea of going for a ramble. In fact, we wanted to do a series where we showed beautiful walks, but I don't know why. I never trust the maps. Do you? I just worry I'll end up wandering through someone's backyard. Kirsty Jane, we love Jeremy Clarkson's farm show. Really love it. And I think it does a great job for showing how difficult the life of farmers really is. Kirsty Jane, if you haven't seen it, oh God, what was it? Little Big Farm. Check it out. I think it's on Amazon Prime. Little Big Farm. Astonishing portrait of a farm being constructed over a period of time. Oh, here we go, look. Healthy mummy cat. I'm a farmer, we get a bad rap. People think all we do is shout, get off my land. People get lost and I always try to help them. It's only annoying when they trample crops or disturb our animals. And there is it in a nutshell. You're absolutely right. It's also their livelihoods, it's your livelihoods, and certain rules need to be observed. I agree. So there you go, guys. Naked Rambling, says Jenny Scam. We could do Naked Rambling. I'm sure Nadia will be up for that. Have a lovely evening. We will see you on the morrow. Can't promise you who'll be here. Hopefully Nads will have a good night tonight. She sends all her love. She says thank you for all the messages that you've sent in various places. And yeah, thanks for spending half an hour with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. And we'll see you on the morrow. Oh, and if you fancy a really unsettling trailer, go and check out the trailer that I reacted to on the channel called Men. Stars Jessie Buckley. Again, go and check it out. Bye.